At the end of the first half, the Kings on a 42-point quarter come back in this one to make it a 4-point deficit, 72-67. Ryan, or excuse me, 5-point deficit. Ryan and Sacktown joined by Mr. Jerry Reynolds. Jerry, how you doing tonight?
Really good. Obviously that was a strange game. I mean, where the Knicks played a fabulous first quarter and the Kings played a fabulous second quarter. We got a new ball game now, and I think the Kings have done a marvelous job fighting back here. And I think they've got a bad whistle most of the half. To be honest with you, I don't like complaining, but certainly in that first quarter, that was just all New York. But they've maybe the refs have kind of settled in as well, and maybe we'll have a well officiated second half.
Yeah, that was the first question that I was going to ask you. I don't like relying on the whistle too much, but where are you seeing that in particular, Jerry? Offense or defense?
Well, mostly on defense. I mean, it just seems to me like that the Knicks are allowed to get away with some stuff, that the Kings haven't been able to, and a couple of ticky-tack fouls against the Kings, and some bumping and humping out there by the Knicks. But it did seem as the Kings got more aggressive and started, the Monk Sabonis show got going, then the refs kind of got on board, and then it evened out a good bit, I thought, the last 6 minutes.
Yeah, Monk and Sabonis playing absolutely incredible. 39 points between the two of them. Jerry, what did you see there in the first quarter that was not working for the Kings on offense?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of it just missing some pretty good shots, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, the bigger problem was they couldn't stop the Knicks, so they were always playing half court, and that just makes it tougher. The second quarter, we saw them get stops, get rebounds, get out in the open court. And really, the Knicks just aren't like every team. They're just not as good defensively if they're in transition or trying to get back into the half court stance. And so I think as simple as that. But good defense gets you, some opportunities. I did think the Kings second quarter for sure rebounded the ball much better.
Yeah.
Challenging shots better. I thought Coach Christie went to the zone for a while. I thought that helped. They were making threes like crazy anyway, but it did seem to stop the inside attacks a little better.
Yeah, Jerry, what are you going to do to cool off OG Anunoby? 20 points in the first half.
That's a great question. He really hasn't been his career a particularly outstanding 3-point shooter.
No.
I would tend to whatever you do, don't let him get to the basket. That's where he's at his best. I mean, if you got to give up a three, I'd still do that with him. You kind of pick your poison, but really protect the drives to the hoop. I think that's, and I think he'll cool down, but, hopefully they all will. I mean, we saw Landry Shamet, get on a tear, and yep. He's a solid NBA player, but that's the way this league is. You let guys who aren't generally great shooters get open shots, and they'll get something going.
Especially in this era.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in this area. The Kings didn't shoot their first free throws until about the 130, 140 mark of the first quarter. They end up with 9 free throws, 9 for 9 in the first half. New York only got 10 free throws for as bad as we thought the whistle was. Jerry, what's the key to getting to the line and remaining physical here in the second half?
Yeah, just that, remaining physical, go to the basket, put pressure on, because even that, going to the basket and really trying to attack it inside as much as you can, it brings all the defenders into the paint, and that's where the easy kick-out threes result. I mean, we saw the Knicks do it to the Kings. It's just the same thing the Kings need to do.
Jerry, I just have a quick question, and it's not a Fox thing personally, but in the 3 games without De'Aaron, the Kings did not give up any 40-point quarters to begin the game or gave up any during that stretch whatsoever. In the game since he's returned, they've given up 2 40-point first quarters, 3 in all, and this first quarter they gave up 38 points. A lot of questions before the game about the differences with the defense as of late and giving up those big quarters to start the game. What are the differences that you're seeing with Keon on the court to start versus De'Aaron?
Well, I think with Keon, he's completely healthy and he's aggressive. He's not worrying about getting fouls or fouling out anything. I do think with De'Aaron, one of the things when you've got a finger problem like he does,
Yeah.
it probably affects you in a couple of different ways that show up. I mean, really more so than shooting. It's dribbling and it's deflecting passes and going for that, because you have to be cognizant. I mean, as a fan, sometimes you don't think about that, but as a player, you got a bad finger, and that's the last thing you want to do. Almost is to really get a hard pass off of that finger on a deflection or something like that. And
Yeah.
I just don't think we're seeing De'Aaron nearly as aggressive offensively or defensively, and I think most of it can tie right back to the injured fingers.
Yeah, he showed up on the injury report. He was questionable coming in, ends up giving it a go. He was 25 for 63 the last 3 games from the floor coming into tonight. 3 of 7 from the floor tonight, 1 for 4. Is there much you can do to get him kick-started, Jerry, other than keep pounding away?
I think just yeah, that it's going to be tough because Monk is going so well.
Yeah,
And
he's playing great.
and I certainly, if you can get DeRozan and Fox going a little more, I definitely that's what you'd like. Certainly Keegan seems to be playing with a lot of confidence, so that's going. But yeah, I think more than anything else, if you could just get De'Aaron, uh, not that he needs to get all the way to basket, but I still think that 14, 15-foot shot he can get, and he can make it at a high percentage. And I think he really should be looking for that. Just break down the defense. Don't worry about getting all the way to the hoop where you may not be able to get there and score, but I definitely think you can get that easy shot, and that'd be the best thing for him. Sabonis is going to give him good screens. Right now, he's not really taking them and trying to go to the basket.
Right. Right. And in a game like this, that's so important in a physical game, Jerry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be physical. That's one thing about the Knicks and Coach Tibbs. They don't play defense probably as they have in past years because they're so much better offensively, because they really want to push the ball. They want to play very much like the Kings.
Right.
Uh, and so, yeah, the second half's probably going to come down to, basically it's probably who's going to be the most aggressive, probably on defense. You really got to start making some guys understand you're out there in front of them.
Yep, very good point. Jerry joining us here at the half. Kings down 5, 72-67, but they ended the second half on a 20, or they should say they had a 23-6 run at one point to end the second half. Brian wants to thank you, Jerry, for signing his poster at a game a couple of years ago. He still remembers.
Well, Brian, I'm glad I did. Sometimes I'm a pretty nice person. It happens. You caught me. I guess you caught me at one of my good times. I don't know, but
Oh my gosh.
I'd be happy to sign anything.
Jerry still gets trading cards sent to his
do.
house.
I do. It's amazing. I get them actually for me as well as the Jerry Reynolds that played.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always have to send them back. I don't want them to waste their card, so I send them back. But yeah, I always say no, wrong, Jerry Reynolds. You got the 5'8" one, not the 6'9" one.
I love it. I want to talk really quick about Keegan Murray. I thought quietly on the defensive end, he was so important to what the Kings did in the first half, guarding Cat, which would be a mismatch in most cases, or even last year would have been a little bit of a mismatch, and also guarding Brunson. How important is he going to be here in this second half, Jerry?
I think super important, because if with him guarding Cat, I mean, Sabonis doesn't have to, and keeps him out of foul trouble, hopefully. And I think that he can do it because, Cat's not a real physical guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a 7-footer, but he's really a finesse player. And I think with Keegan's length and quickness, I think he can bother him probably more than anyone else could.
A strong third quarter, a quick third quarter coming out of the gates. The Kings have done that in the past 2 games. How important is it tonight?
Well, it's extremely important. It'd just be great to get a lead, to see how the Knicks adjust. There at home, and if they get behind, I mean, now all of a sudden those 3-pointers, sometimes that basket looks a little smaller.
Yeah.
And really the winning margin so far has been their 3-point shooting. So anyway, yeah, I like where the Kings are. I mean, I think we know that if they're within, 5, 8, 10 points going into the fourth quarter, these guys don't quit. They bring it. So I think we're in a real ball game, and I think the Kings can win this game. I really do.
Yeah, I do as well. I think with this 6 game road trip, we knew Denver was going to be a little bit of a schedule loss. I think we got more than we bargained for with the run at the end to close the gap there and make it closer. But winning this game tonight in New York seems like a big deal, Jerry, because it stops the 1 game or doesn't turn the 1 game into a 2 game, and you head into Brooklyn with at least a 500 record at the start of this.
Oh yeah, and just put it simply that the Knicks are a really good team. They're probably the third best team in the
Agreed.
East, and I mean they're going to be in the playoff hunt, and of course they get all the attention in the East. Obviously they're a very good team. It is New York, and beating New York is a good thing. That's what I look.
Huge thing.
A huge thing.
I'm with you. What was it like for you going to the Garden? We always hear Grant stories, but what was it like for you?
Well, I didn't get as excited as Grant, because Grant, I mean, New York,
New York.
but no, the arena. I mean, obviously it's an old building, but the atmosphere is fantastic. It really is. I mean, they've got great fans and great sight lines. I love doing the games there because we were right on the floor. I mean, as a coach, it was great. No, it's New York and all the history of it. The great Knick teams of the past, always a reminder.
Sure.
So, yeah, very unique. It's kind of like, there in the Boston Garden and the old Forum for the Lakers, those three places. I mean, kind of special.
Indeed. All right, it's that time. Final score. Which way you going, Jer? Jay says 125, 120 Kings. What's Jerry Reynolds say?
I kind of like what Jay's got there. I think I'll go 125, 120 as well.
Okay.
Me and Jay's are on the same. We're on the same
How
page.
about that? Dr. J killing it there. Jerry and Dr. J together. You know what? I think the Kings win this one as well. I think the points slow down a little bit. I'm going to say Kings 117, New York 116. That's where I'm going.
Either way, it works.
As long as they get a win.
Just get the W and move on to Brooklyn.
Yeah, the way I look at it is, you got to worry about Brunson and Cat. We haven't seen a ton of the 2-man game. I think you get Anunoby to slow down a little bit. I don't think you're going to get the same production 3-point wise off the bench from New York like they got in the first quarter. And if the Kings can just control the boards and keep the Knicks to 1 possession and out, I think that makes a huge difference, especially with the pace that they want to play at. And it felt like that was much more of a Sacramento pace towards the end of the second quarter.
Yeah, I think the bench for the Kings, obviously Keon and Trey Lyles will be very important. And conversely, I think a couple of the starters for the Knicks concern me. I mean, Mikal Bridges and Josh and Jason Hart. I mean, those are big time guys, right. and so they're capable. They've played well, but they haven't been a big factor yet. So be very, very afraid.
Who's your X factor to get this one over the finish line for the Kings tonight?
Well, I think it's De'Aaron. I think he's got to come out. I know he's not the same guy, but he's got to come out and be productive offensively and kind of let it go on defense. We know he's not quite the same, but we need about 12 points and a couple of steals and a couple of assists, and I think we'll be right there. I think DeRozan will get his game going, but I think Foxy's probably the key in the second half.
All right, I like it. Keep an eye out for foul trouble. DeMar with 3, Sabonis with 2, but Jerry, they get 6, right?
They do.
So use them.
They do. They get 6. So until they call number 6, nothing to worry about.
Amen. I agree, Jared. Thank you so much for joining us. We will have a great rest of the weekend, by the way. We will see you on Monday for the
game.
Will. All right. Enjoy the rest of your night. Hopefully we are lighting the beam here in Sacktown. They're about to take the court right now. Grant and I back after the game, breaking it down, taking your phone calls, and getting you ready for the next one in Brooklyn. Kings look to pull off the comeback right now. Third quarter underway.